Alright, folks, I promised you a review, and here's a review. Today we are doing Secret Empire number 8. And as always, first up, Secret Empire 8 non-spoiler review. Writer, Nick Spencer, artist Daniel Acuna, later Reese's Travis Lanham, and cover art done by Mark Brooks. That was good. The story seemed to flow nicely. Uh, it also even had a few nice twists and turns throughout, which kept the story interesting. I think one of my favorite pieces of art, if you can be called that, is right here. I think that's just a beautiful picture. Anyway, I know, rather short, but that was my look at Secret Empire, the non-spoiler review. As I say at the end of all my videos, I'll see you on the other side. Now, if you stayed this long, you stayed past my non-spoiler review. This is my spoiler review. So, first up, we have Hydra, Captain America, Supreme Leader, Arnim Zola. Didn't really have a title, so I just kind of gave him a title, second in command. Uh, Beyond the Shield, Captain Marvel, that's right. America Chavez, Quasar, Star-Lord, Spectrum, and Rocky Raccoon. Unaffiliated, Maria Hill and Namor. The Underground, Hawkeye, Sam Wilson, Misty Knight, Tony Stark's AI. Giant Man, Rajon Lucas. Dark Force, New York. Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Claire Temple, Doctor Strange, Cloak, Dagger. Now, I just want to say before I go on, they say Claire Temple is in uh, the Dark Force, New York, but I really haven't heard much from her. Anyway, let's get on with the review itself. Anyway, we open up the comic of the real Steve Rogers, currently in what it was explained to be hell, has fallen off a cliff into a lake. Some narration opens things up with how things have fallen so far so fast, both literally and figuratively, as Steve finds himself getting up from falling into a lake. The scene ends with the narrator saying there was hope, how little it might be, but it was enough to keep fighting. We transition to Giant Man and Rayshawn rolling a giant, no pun intended, boulder up a hill. Rayshawn asks what it is, and it turns out to be It turns out it is the time capsule that Tony Stark's AI was working on in the previous book. Giant Man explains how it is supposed to go 100 years into the past, but then be discovered, and hope. With the information from Rick Jones, they are able to stop whatever is about to happen with Hydra. Rayshon asks why Giant Man just doesn't just giant up and roll the bad boy up the hill. And all we get from Giant Man is an, oh, I didn't think of that. We transition to Sam Wilson, who has now decided it's time to fight, donning the next Captain America suit, and is now broadcasting a message to the people of Earth. In the message, he talks of knowing how Hydra has taken control, but they, the heroes of the underground, have a fragment of the cosmic cube. How, with this cosmic cube, they hope to bring down the shield that has left many heroes out in space. After the broadcast, the underground goes over the plan one more time, telling Sam he must go between the Dark Force bubble and the shield. Sam takes off. We transition to outer space where Captain Marvel is standing on the bridge of the ship she is on, overlooking how things are going, when Star-Lord walks in with Groot and Rocket at tow. They tell her of how they have some goodies, known as bombs, that might be able to help with their situation. She asks what they will use as a delivery system, and Star-Lord simply says, "You're standing in it." We transition to Dark Force, New York. The heroes there are talking about how they have tried everything to bring down the Dark Force bubble and nothing has worked. But then Doctor Strange walks into the room and talks about he may have found a spell that might work. He says he had to give up something quite valuable. We find out this is out it's his Sanctum Sanctorum to get the spell, but he is sure it will work. Back in the skies with Sam Wilson, who is currently evading two Hydra planes and shooting at him, he managed to get around them the best he can. But just as he begins to get a little cocky, we see him shot down and fall into the ocean. On the space station with Marvel, Star-Lord, Groot, and Rocket, they have just released the bomb they intend to use on the shield. With bated breath, they watch as the bomb makes its journey, and as it does, the next panel is Harlem Zola and an agent. The agent is saying how there's trouble headed for the shield, but as the bomb makes contact, both to the relief of the Hydra and dismay to the space station, the bomb connects, but nothing happens. With every attempt made and all seeming lost on the space station, Captain Marvel asks America Chavez if she can begin evacuating the people of the station to some other dimension. But as she makes this suggestion, a voice pops up and says, "Before you do that," on the next page, we see the voice belongs to none other than Quasar, who says, "I think I may be able to help." In the next panel, we see a body slowly rising out of the ocean. Chavez asks Miss Marlowe, "How far did you get during how far did you get during testing, bringing down the shield?" Captain Marvel says 51%. And you think the same girl who just got out of a coma is going to bring it all the way down now? Captain Marvel answers yes. Quasar has rested. The last panel of this scene We see Sam Wilson, the other Captain America, or the next Captain America, rise from the ocean depths. Quasar gets to her designated position and shoots a beam directly at the shield. The rest of our station heroes begins to pray that she succeeds. On the next page, we were given the confirmation that yes, Quasar had broken through the shield. With this knowledge, Captain Marvel takes off and asks for the coordinates to the Chitauri eggs. Back to the underground, they see that the shield has been brought down. Now they must figure out what to do about the Dark Force bubble. Next, a shadowy figure is walking through a prison. A voice says the shadowy figure, third cell on your left. The figure lowers their hood, and we see that it's Maria Hill. She says to the voice belonging to Dum Dum Dugan, "Thanks, Dum Dum. Now to see if Deadpool's intel works." She goes into the cell. "Oh, thank God," we hear the prisoner say. "You're here to rescue me." Maria says, "You're okay now, Bob." He talks about how scared he had been. We learn that Bob is in fact Black Bolt. Now, Blackout. Back to Captain Marvel flying to go after the Chitauri eggs. She takes out the base where the eggs are being held, then destroys them. We transition back to Maria Hill and Blackout. She tells him how they have all been scared, but how the heroes are back and that they are going to be just that, heroes again. However, she says they need her to be something else. With that, Blackout's back to Maria. She takes out a gun and shoots him in the head. After this, back in the Dark Force bubble, we see it burst and a ray of light show through. At first, it's just a beam of light, but then the sun finally shows down on all of New York. The bubble has been broken. With the shield down, the bubble bursts. Heroes from all forces begin to band together. Sam is safe and back with the underground. Out of the ocean comes one more hero, and it is none other than Namor. At first, he is given a hard time because up until now, Namor has been seen as playing for the other team. But Namor assures the heroes it was all part of his plan all along. Then he says, "To better explain my strategy, why don't I let my guests tell you all about it?" We see it is none other than Bucky Barnes. Everyone teamed together, and the narration goes on talking about how they knew things were still stacked against them, but now they had hope. They had banded together for the big fight. We last transitioned back to hell. We see the real Steve Rogers, who has just brought himself out of the water, is walking along, and he sees someone familiar. At first, it looks like Sharon, but as he touches her, she disappears, and he is alone. But then he sees a little girl sitting on a rock. She says, "No, we are alone." And he says, "Kobik, to be continued." And as I say at the end of all my videos, I'll see you on the other side.